Here's a hard fact. Close to 40% of marriages in Canada end in divorce. This is not a very glowing statistic, but it does give us a sense of how many people are re-entering the dating pool. And for some, getting back out there can be quite intimidating. Fortunately, we've got celebrity matchmaker and online dating expert Carmelia Ray here to share some of her sage advice for dating after divorce. But first, let's have a listen to one woman's first date after divorce story. Spoiler alert, it didn't go well.
My first date, I thought I was ready to, get out there and start dating again. And, I show up to this date feeling pretty confident and feeling good about it. And the gentleman that I was having lunch with started asking me lots of questions about, my separation, my divorce, my ex, the situation. And just the types of questions that he was asking me just triggered something. And I just started crying, and I was so embarrassed, trying to hold it in. And obviously that wasn't working. And I apologized to the gentleman. I said, I'm so sorry. And we had to finish our lunch date, and we did. And he was nice about it. But I knew right there and then that obviously I was not ready to date, and it was way too early for me to be out there.
Yeah, totally understandable. Carmelia, is what happened on Marcia's first date typical for someone recently divorced?
I would say it's very typical of someone like Marcia, who's recently out of a divorce and hasn't given herself the time to grieve, to heal, to prepare for dating. A lot of clients have come to me after being married for 10, 15, 20. One of my clients was married for 31 years, had no idea how to date. So if you can imagine going into the dating landscape, not prepared that people are going to ask you questions. They're going to ask you, why did you separate? Why did you divorce? What's going on? What are you like? It could feel like you're on this really uncomfortable interview and not prepared for dating. So it's really important that you grieve. You've had time to have that emotional, detachment from your partner. Get your life settled a bit so it doesn't feel like any question is going to automatically set you off or trigger you. So that is a common experience.
Okay, so an actual divorce can take a long time. Do you advise to only start dating once the papers are actually signed?
I would not advise to start dating once the papers are actually signed. A lot of people do choose to date after divorce. However, in many relationships and marriages, these things can take years. I would say a good rule of thumb, whether it's 6 months or a year, once you've passed sort of the nitty-gritty, the difficulty, the division of assets, or at least you're down that path, you've spoken to lawyers, if you have children involved, you've managed the co-parenting schedule, you know what to expect of each other, and you've made time and room for dating, I think that's a good time for you to start entertaining dating.
Okay, so you feel good about it, you're in a good place. Where does one begin?
Great question. A lot of times people who come out of divorce are coming to me, what do I do? So the first thing you want to do is date yourself. A lot of times coming out of divorce, you were a different person before your marriage, and now you're a different person going into a new dating landscape. Are you, are your kids grown now? Are you still a mom? What's your view of yourself? Do you even know all the amazing things about you? One of the hardest things people have to do is writing their bios. They don't know how to describe themselves, and they don't know what their traits are. So I think working on yourself, dating yourself, and really getting clear with who you are and what you're looking for is a great first step.
Okay, once you establish the new you, then what?
Okay, well, once you establish the new you, you've got to think, who is the new me looking for? What was the old you looking for? I mean, if you think about the kind of people you dated, if I think about the kind of people I dated in my 20s, very different person who I'd be looking for now if I were single, right? Do you want a good parent figure? Do you want someone to travel with? Do you want just a great partner in life? So I think it's really important now that you've done the inner work to know what you're looking for is to focus on the kind of person that would be a great complement to your life today.
Right. So you're probably moving on from the bad boys. You're looking for somebody a little bit different now. Now, you say finances are super important. So how does one even bring that up?
That is a great question. A lot of people are really uncomfortable about bringing up finances, but I think there's so many clues that people give us when we're dating about their financial style. It's so important to determine long-term happiness that you are aligned financially. So don't be afraid to ask those kinds of questions.
And what about kids, which is the other sort of big one? Do you put that on your profile? Do you lead with it? What if you have kids and they don't, or vice versa? How do you deal with all that?
If you are a parent of a child and you're responsible for parenting children, I say there's a clever way to put that on your profile. You absolutely want to lead with that, especially if you have younger children. These are not things that you like surprise somebody with. Compatibility happens with both people. You're divorced. Some people still want the opportunity to have children. Some people who've raised kids, for example, if you're in your 40s and you have 20-year-olds off to college, you may not want to start bringing up somebody else's children or having your own child. So it's really important that you do mention kids. Having kids, what their arrangement is, do you want them, not want them? These are all things that you have to navigate.
Carmelia, I feel like there is so much more to talk about. You've given us such good information, but if you could leave us with one last piece of wisdom for our newly dating after divorce viewers, what would it be?
Oh, such a great question. All right, I think the best thing to do is to definitely follow your gut. Following dating in a divorce, you sometimes are hard on yourself. Do not be afraid to ask those clarifying and qualifying questions. Having good boundaries is important. I don't care how cute and how hot that chemistry is. Make sure that you are okay to ask those questions, because at the end of the day, you don't want to repeat the same mistake, and it's a new you, so you deserve the best.
Such great advice. Thank you so much for sharing with us, Carmelia. Loved it all.